Bucks wins are obviously always important, but what have you noticed it's done to the group this week?
No, not a lot. We performed a little better, and in a couple of elements as we sort of fronted up to around our defensive capability. So there was progress in that regard, and looking forward to seeing another step forward this weekend.
Clubs always travel well. Do you look forward to getting on the road and heading up to Sydney?
Yeah, and it's a little bit different for us. We play a curtain closer, our VFL commitment. So the whole list will basically be there for the games on Saturday. The 145 at AFL level, and then a curtain closer. So the opportunity to travel as a list, as a full group, with the intention of going and getting 2 wins is something that we look forward to.
So you speak to the AFL guys about sticking around, supporting the guys, and using this as a galvanising experience?
Yeah, look, that's in our internal club processes, we're always looking for opportunities to support each other and to reinforce the fact that it's not just from underneath to the top, that it's from the top down. And we are a strong, united playing group in particular that are there for each other. So this is just another opportunity to do that.
Bucks, how do you plan to cover Roughead and Murphy out this week? Probably more so Roughead from a structural perspective.
Yeah, look, we played with the 3 tall backs last week with Darcy and Keeney in there as well. So we think that we'll definitely miss Ruffy. He's been a really strong key defender for us over the time. So we may be a little smaller than we've been in previous weeks, but they're not something that we're too concerned about. We believe we'll have enough aerial support or aerial cover to be able to get the ball to ground, and then that'll be one part of how we plan to defend Sydney.
How should you investigate their availability, Murphy and Ruffy's?
Yeah, well, Murph was the one that told me that he'd pass a concussion test. Maybe I shouldn't be listening to the player because he didn't pass the test. Ruffy passed the one on the night and has passed subsequent tests. But in the end, the doc is, as we all know, the doc club doctor takes the lead in that, and it is a medical process. It's not about anything else, and it's about the health and welfare of the players. So the right call was made on the night, and we drop into a 12-day protocol now, and that's been mandated, and we understand exactly what that is.
So even if they pass the test, it's not the be-all and
No,
end-all?
there are a number of criteria that the doctors look at, and there's an AFL or a doctor who is labelled a spotter who sits in the stands. So basically, there's check and balance there for the club doctors to reinforce their decisions more often. And a lot of it might be on what it actually looks like in the vision, and there's about 7 or 8 different parameters that the doctors are looking at. So, with Ruffy's history and with the state of the game, it was a wise decision not to put him back on for the last 5 minutes, but I think it was actually the medical call as it stood anyway. Yeah, and I mean, Ruffy's an interesting one because he's been an advocate for head trauma. He's actually been someone who has suffered concussions, throughout his career. He's had some bad concussions, and he's had a really consistent outcome from those concussive effects. He actually doesn't have them this time around. He has 0 effects. So he's on that fine line of being, hey, I don't know if I was concussed, but I understand that we need to do the right thing. If we're going to err, let's err on the side of being cautious. So he's dropped into the protocol. He hasn't been able to do contact training, and we understand that he's not available for this week, and we'll be ready the week after.
Just on concussion. Where's Levi Greenwood at? Have you got an updated timeline around his return?
Levi trained with us today, and he's been suffering effects ongoing, and that's lingered on a lot longer than he or we would hope for. But there's no. Once again, that is something that will be addressed week to week. But no, he's not playing this week.
Will Kelly in the frame this week to replace Jordan? I know you said he might go a bit smaller, but is he a potential to go life for life?
Will's working away. He's a young player who hasn't played a lot of footy. He's missed a lot through injury, so he's working away through the VFL system as a key back at the moment, and we're looking for him to put a block of form together before we bring him up.
And how close is Tom Wilson playing some solid footy looks like in the VFL at the moment?
Yeah, he's been good, and he's really come on this year. I think being back in Melbourne and settled has given a few of our especially the players that are yet to debut or be exposed to AFL level, they've been able to settle and really develop, and Tom's been excellent. We're seeing his best attributes. He's played a little bit on the wing for us and down back in the last month or so he's definitely putting himself around the mark.
So just on Will Kelly, you brought him back for Anzac Day. I think he only played VFL down back for one week, maybe two at the time. Did you go early on that one, considering you now want to see him for a block?
Well, you just need to. There's changing circumstances, Mitch. I mean, in your time as a coach, you'd understand you need to make short-term calls sometimes, and that was one of them.
Finn McRae, is he someone you get back into the system?
Finn's, once again, he's tracking really well. He's had a bit of exposure at the top, and has played. One of the ironies or one of the challenges that happens is often the midfielders at VFL level who find a fair bit of the ball struggle to get midfield time when they get up into the senior side. So we've seen that with Finn, probably with Jay Rantel when he came in, and balancing the side at senior level and the roles that they play at VFL is part of that challenge. So Finn has played sort of 50-50 mid and forward in his VFL time to try and give him that look when he comes up to the senior side, but he's tracking well.
Braden Sire, I know he hasn't played for a couple of weeks, but he's scans.
Yeah, we'll have to. He wasn't able to complete training, so that's not a good sign. But when the medical report comes back, I'll know more about that.
Strength the young coach to add to the youngster kind of chat.
Yeah.
See coming along. Obviously had a big game in the VFL, and I think it was an emergency a few times last year. Where's he at?
Played one game back and was exceptional. That was his first game for premiership points at AFL or VFL level. Last year, with the COVID reality, didn't get a chance to actually play a game in earnest. So that was a great boon for him and for us. He's once again he's one that's working under the radar a little bit and has a lot of talent. We think that he's going to be a really good player for us long term, and we'll let him get his feet underneath him first.
Does Darcy Moore get first crack at Buddy this week?
Yeah, we'll have a look at the matchups and confirm those, the Savo. But Sydney have been such a dangerous side offensively this year, and they scored very heavily early in the year. It's not, we won't be Buddy centric. There's a lot of other avenues there that they have to score that we need to be conscious of. But Darcy's going to find himself in Buddy's area from time to time, and vice versa. McLean's been clunking them. Obviously, if Heaney comes back into the side, that goes into the mix. Papley has been a dangerous player, and they've got those high forwards that get all the way up and back and find themselves front and centre. So their front six is going to ask a question. But their midfield and back and ball use from the back is something we need to consider. So there's plenty that goes into defending them.
Just back to something you said a month ago after the Giants loss, that you said you wanted to see a bit more physical intent over the next 4 weeks. How have you assessed that in that period now that that's elapsed?
Yeah, I think we've our results would show that we've been inconsistent in that. We just haven't been at the level we would have liked to. I think we were better last week. I mean, when you have a win, you're looking a little more at the positives and what can come. When you have a loss, then sometimes you're not actually seeing that. But we've gradually improved that. There's no doubt we're in better shape than we were a month ago. And the consistent four-quarter performance has eluded us at this point. So that would definitely be a focus for us going into Saturday.
You've matched up pretty well against the Swans, like historically, but are they a different beast now? Do you see that they're playing different to last year and it's changing your preference?
Yeah, things change pretty quickly, and there's no doubt that they're, that there have been a dour defensive side in the most part. They've defended back shoulder. They're definitely defending more aggressively their front half of the field. So they're a different side, but we're a very different side as well. We've played some really close games. So if that makes us sort of an even match in the past, well then that would explain it. Whenever we go to Sydney, we've had a good record over a long period of time, but recently they've been able to. Obviously we won last year at the Gabba, but there's been some really close tussles at the SCG in particular, so wouldn't expect anything different.
What was your take when you found out about Howie?
Yeah, well, that was disappointing for Howie and for us. But, I mean, in the end, when you've got go back and have a look at the incident. Like it was a fairly significant injury. And there was a lot of trauma, and obviously to fix that, there needed to be a fair bit of structural change in his knee and in his leg, and that where that tendon had come from has not settled. So the advice of the surgeon was to go again, was to make some changes to that and to give it a chance to heal better the next time around. So I mean, he's been probably operating at half rat power, like even when he was playing earlier this year. He felt like he was up and about. The one thing that really grabbed his hamstring was when he flew for a mark, and just happens to be the standout trait of Howie, and the only thing that he can't do without, I suppose. So to get that right is important, because he still has years to play in his career, and he's still going to be a very important part of what we do in the next period of time.
Jordan De Goey is such a barometer for you guys. Obviously played sort of pure forward last week. How does his role look moving forward? Like, is he going to stay in the forward line now?
If he's going to kick six every week, I reckon we'll leave him there. Look, he gets a lot of focus, Geordie, but his influence and his intensity around the contest was really good for us last week, and he got rewarded on the scoreboard as well. But it's the former that we'll be looking for consistently.
You said post game on the weekend that you'd challenge his consistency. Tay's spoken about the players' side of things. How have you done that to start the week in terms of challenging Geordie?
Yeah. He gets the same feedback that everyone gets around the expectation of the way that we want to go about the game. But that was an opportunity to reinforce the positives, which is what we're always looking for. All good.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.